Hello everyone, in this video we're going to discuss this problem D, catching cheaters from the Codeforces round 683 div 2. So the problem is that we are given two strings A and B. We will call those strings as S and T for our discussion purposes. And then for that strings S and T, we take two substrings C and D such that the value of the similarity between those two substrings C and D is defined as 4 times the length of the longest common subsequence of C and D minus the respective length of C and D, and we have to output for any of the substrings C and D of these original strings, which we call S and T, whose value is turned out to be the maximum one, right? So our constraints are, our values of the length are from 1 to 5000, and the strings contains only lowercase letters, right? So now let us discuss this problem on the whiteboard. So first approach, the way we will want to solve this problem is the way we will solve the problem of LCS. What we are going to do in this problem is a slight modification. So we're going to solve this problem using dynamic programming, because we used to solve this problem of LCS as we use in dynamic programming as well. Otherwise, the time complexity will become exponentially if we don't solve it by dynamic programming. So now let ij represent the pointers on the string s and t respectively, right? And let dpij represent the similarity of substrings c and d terminating at I and j in the respective strings s and t, right? So if we see here up to here only, right? So what will be the value of the similarity? Since we have only one character and that character is also not matching, so it means the similarity is zero right here, because there is no longest common subsequence. And also if we take if we by the way if we take a and b, then it will just want to decrease the value of the similarity because there is no longest common subsequence. So length is 0 minus, if we take these values of a and b for our substrings, then it will want to decrease the value of the longest of the similarity by 2. So it will minus 2 then. So it means that will not be, it is optimal to not take characters a and b because they are not even matching as well if we just have only one character in the original strings. Anyway, so now let us try to move forward. So yeah, so what can happen, like if our answer we know, if we know the answer for the maximum value of the similarity for the pointers terminating at I and j respectively in the strings s and t, then what can happen? The pointer I will move in the right direction like this. Similarly, the pointer j will also move in the right direction like this. So what can happen is this: either if we know the answer already for the part I, we can either skip the character I plus 1. So skipping the character I plus 1 indicates that if the answer terminating at I or originally contains some length originally, then we have to extend that substring. Or it also means that the substring ending at I has no length, so it means we will not even include this character B as well. So it means that we have not even started yet, right? So one of the following cases will happen for I, and also one of the following cases will happen for moving J in the right direction. So like, right, so now the formula is this: SCD is defined as 4 times the length of the longest common subsequence minus the respective length of C and D. So now we will have any of the three following cases. Either we will gonna skip the I plus 1th character, needs to be skipped in the string s, right? So I told you already what that means. Also, it can also mean that we need to skip the j plus 1th character in the string t. Or it can also happen in longest common subsequence problem, that I plus 1th character and j plus 1th character matches. So when I plus 1 character and j plus 1 character matches, so then what will happen, and also what will happen in this first and second cases. So what will be the change in the value of the similarity in the above three cases? Let us now discuss this. So if we have some answer that contains some substrings in the which is terminating at I and j in the strings s and t respectively. So if we skip the I plus 1th character, so it means that the longest common subsequence which is which will not increase because then the I plus 1 factor is skipped, meaning that it is not matching, like we have not taken that it is matching. So it means, so the longest common subsequence of the original answer I comma j will not gonna increase, so or we will say it will gonna increase by 0 only. But the length of one of the string, for example, in this case C, because I is more on the string S and the C is a substring of S, so the substring length will increase by 1. Note that this expression represents the change, not the actual value. Minus the other length will not going to increase because we have not skipped the j plus 1 character. So it means the value of the answer will change by minus 1 in both of the cases, because in other cases it will be like just this 4 times 0 minus 0 minus 1. Right. So it means the answer will change by minus 1 if we have some answer originally terminating at I and j, and we are skipping the I plus 1 character or j plus 1 character, right? Otherwise, if I plus 1 character and j plus 1 character are matching, it means the longest common subsequence will change by 1, whereas the length will also increase by 1 of both the substrings. So in total it will gonna increase the value of the similarity by 2 if the third case will happen, right? So so this is the way this change will happen if we move the pointers to the right. And what will be the answer? The answer will be the maximum for a maximum value of the dpij for any ij. It does not mean that we have not to, like in the longest common subsequence we use to output dp the length of the one string and also the length of the other string. But in this case, we the value of the similarity can terminate at any I comma j in the strings s and t respectively. So it need not to be necessarily terminating at the end locations. So dpij at the very end we will output we will just will just say the answer will be the maximum of dpij or answer, right? Initially our answer will take as 0. So yeah, in this way we're gonna say this is the maximum, this will be the maximum, or this will be the similarity or the value of the maximum similarity of any substring c and d terminating at any I and j, which doesn't matter, it will not it does need not to be terminating at the end locations. For example, we have this original example which is a b b a, right? And yeah, and here the other string was ba BA, B, right? So what will happen is like this. Initially, the pointers will be like this. I will be at this and they will be this. So it will, if we see the formula, if we take these values, then it will not just decrease the value by minus 2. So it means it's better to skip these characters, or like for a given value of I, let us keep this character B, and then after that move this B to here, right? So it means if we move the pointer j to here, now the character I is matching. So we can just then take this value for our answer, and like if the answer has to be taken at I value 0 and j value as 1, then it will be 2, right? Because a and a are matching, and if we use the formula, then it will give us the value 2. Now, after that, if I move further this pointer at B, A and B, it will just going to decrease the value of the dpij. So it will not be useful to move this pointer in the right direction. But yeah, in the code, we will definitely going to move this pointer in the right direction. But just for sake of understanding, we just need to understand that it's obvious here that we should not move the pointer further to the right. Now, after that, what will going to happen? Yeah, so what will gonna happen is this, we will gonna have move this b as well here. So if the answer is originally this and this, right? So then the answer will gonna have this ab as our matching answer, and further moving the right pointer will not do a good thing for us. So then further we will move this to here, right? Because it will be useful now to move forward in the right direction in the string s. So then if I move here, it will just gonna increase the length ABA of the longest common subsequence will still remain AB only, but the length will just increase, like the value of the answer will decrease by -1. But at the same time, if I further move one, then ABB, now these two characters are matching. Now this character and this character are matching. It means like the value of the answer will get increased. And if we at the very end we will going to just analyze this whole case, then we will find out that this is actually that the value of the I and j at which the answer is coming maximum are respectively this 0, 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3 and 4, right? And this can like the sequence of operations terminating at I and j can be any, like we can skip one character, we can just take other character like that, but it will just give us the maximum answer, right? So now let us look at the code to understand it a little bit better, right? So the code is very simple. We have taken n and m input, and then we have taken s and t strings. Now we have initialized a dp vector, double dimension vector with dimension n plus 1 and m plus 1. So then we're going to move this pointer I and j to the right, and then if we see, we will say if our I is less than n, it means that we can move the I plus I to the right, and then it means like dp of I plus 1j, it means like skipping the I plus 1 character is the maximum value of the dpi plus 1j, which will be initially 0, dpij minus 1, because I already told you that if we skip one character, it will just decrease the answer by -1. Similarly for the character, I'm skipping the character jth character. Otherwise, if both the characters are matching, if I is less than n and j is less than m and si is equal to tj, it means that dpi plus 1j is the maximum of the dp of I plus 1 comma j, or dp of I comma j, which is the earlier answer, which is increased by 2. So our answer will not need not be necessarily terminating at n and m. It will terminate at I and j. Whatever be the optimal value of I and j, it will give us the maximum value, and that we're going to output as our answer. So yeah, that's it. And thanks everybody for watching. I will, with this note, I will terminate now.